Hello everyone, good morning. It is 10:30 a.m., a little bit after here in the Ultimate Baby Sleep group. For those of you who are new to the group, just wanted to give you a quick little rundown of how it works. Every Monday we have a question thread with a theme. This week is newborns and sleep fighting, and every Wednesday around this time, 10:30 a.m., I go through all the questions in that thread, try to address as many questions as I can, and answer your questions about newborns and sleep fighting, or whatever the theme of that week is. Sometimes it's night wake-ups. Sometimes it's bedtime battles. We talked about toddlers. We've talked about a lot of them. If you're new, I just went and organized. I've had a few of you ask me. I just went in and organized all the videos so you can see the topic and the live topic that was discussed that week, because if you go through those, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn about how to get your baby onto a better routine, how to get your baby to sleep through the night. I talk a lot about my methods and my system, so that's going to help you a lot. All right, now, have all the questions opened up here about newborns and sleep. Let's see here. But before I do that, before I go through your questions, I'm going to do something a little bit different this week. What I actually want to do is first tell you a little bit. I'll just give you a brief rundown. You've heard me talk about this a lot. I write for a lot of different blogs and I write for a lot of different things. I want to just go through a few key ideas that will help you with newborn sleep, and general ideas. I call them the 7 sleep secrets I swear by for newborn sleep, because it's true and it's going to make a huge difference for you. Hang on, this is a little crooked. And what you can do to actually help your newborn sleep. And then I'm going to go through the questions that we have here. So number one, and I wrote this article, I'll post the link here if you want to see it below. I wrote this for whattoexpect.com a few years ago. But the most important thing to first focus on is preventing day and night confusion with your newborn. What does that mean? A lot of newborns come home from the hospital with their days and nights confused because in utero, your baby was rocked to sleep during the day from your motion, right? Rocked to sleep while you're walking, rocked to sleep while you're grocery shopping, and in the middle of the night, when you're not moving and you're sleeping, your baby is awake because you're not moving and they don't have that rocking movement. When your baby's suddenly born, a lot of babies still suffer from thinking that day is night and night is day, and they tend to sleep a lot during the day because in utero, they were rocked to sleep during the day, and at night are awake. So what you want to start doing to prevent this day and night confusion with your newborn is actively take the reins and help your newborn stay awake for small spouts of time throughout the day. You know, even if it's just 45 minutes, waking them up, playing with them, tickling their toes, feeding them, doing whatever you can. You all know a newborn, depending on how little we're talking, you can like hang them upside down by their toe and they'll stay asleep. So whatever you can do during this initial few days, initial few weeks, just to help prevent that day-night confusion, because a lot of babies don't magically have that self-corrected, and sometimes people will call me with a 2-month-old, a 3-month-old, or even a 5-month-old that still sleep a lot during the day and are up a lot at night. You want to switch that so that wake time is focused during the day, and that night sleep is encouraged during the night. So that's tip number 1. Okay, tip number 2 is, and I'm going to go through these really briefly just because it's an article I wrote, but it's so important for all of you. I was anyway going to post it. I thought I would just run through it before I go through your questions, okay? Light association. Our bodies have a direct correlation with daylight, okay? Different cortisones are produced, different hormones that help us sleep. When you're trying to encourage sleep, do it in the dark. When you're trying to encourage awake time, do it in the light, okay? It doesn't have to be like a drastically sunny day outside. You can even just turn the lights on. But doing this will help your baby's body associate awake time with light and sleep time with dark. Pretty simple. I'm not going to go into the scientific details of how this works. Oh, you're here, Sarah. Great. We're going to go through your questions soon. I'm just going through a few tips first, okay? Next, swaddle to sleep. I know a lot of people say that their newborns don't love swaddling, and I'm not here to tell you that every single baby loves to be swaddled under the sun no matter what, but if you swaddle right, it helps your baby in so many ways. Newborns, especially under the 2-month mark, it mimics the womb, right? When they're in utero, their body is like tightly held up against itself, you know, is kind of like unable to move so much, and when they're suddenly born, they have flailing arms, they have freedom of movement, they often don't know what to do. So when you swaddle your newborn, it's going to help your newborn a lot in terms of mimicking the womb. It's also going to prevent that Moro reflex, which is basically what we've all seen it when your newborn's sitting there sleeping and suddenly they jolt themselves awake. That actually physically gives them the feeling that they're falling in the sensation, and that's not any fun. So swaddling is a big thing. Okay, I'm just going through these really quickly because you'll do this. We'll talk about wake time. That's tip number 4. I'm sure it's going to be a big thing I'm going to talk to you all about with your questions. Sarah, I know you have to go. I'm going to try to get to those soon. White noise, that's a big thing. Using white noise, it also helps mimics the womb. It also helps your baby stay asleep when there's transitional noises happening. And okay, I'll post the article so you can check it out because I know Sarah has to go. I want to answer her question. So I will actually answer your question soon, Sarah. Your question number 2 here. So I'm going to go through the other questions and then get to you. Okay, so Kim, first of all, what is a newborn? A newborn in my book is any baby under about 4.5 months. So even if you asked a question about your 4-month-old, I'm still going to consider that a newborn because once a baby's around the 4.5, 5-month mark, different types of transitions start happening in their bodies. They start sleeping differently completely. There's a lot of chemical changes. They transition differently to sleep cycles. So for all intents and purposes for this question answer session, this live, a newborn is an hour-old baby all the way till about 4.5, sometimes 5 months. Okay, so Kim says, my 3-month-old has trouble getting down for naps. He sleeps great at night, but is swaddled in the rock and play where it's pretty quiet and dark. He will not sleep flat on his back in a crib or pack and play. He will nap great when he's being held or worn. Occasionally, he will fall asleep in the car seat or swing for a nap for long periods as well. When he gets overly tired, he has a lot of trouble settling. He needs to be held and bounced in a quiet, dark place to fall asleep. This is all fine when he's home, but when he's not napping at daycare, he spends 10 hours a day. They can only get him to take 2 or 3 15 to 20-minute naps. Okay, so Kim, sounds like you got all those things down I just talked about in the article, right? You're swaddling your baby, you're doing it in the dark, you're using motion to help, which I have no problem with sleep associations for babies this little. It's all about timing. The biggest thing I'm going to tell you, Kim, is if you want your baby to take consistent naps when he's at daycare, or good naps, it's all about enlisting consistency. So it's great that your baby will sleep well when he's in the carrier or when he's in the car seat, but that's with, a full-fledged dependency. But when a baby is overtired, and you've heard me say this thousands of times, if you watch, not thousands, we've only had this group for a few months, but if you go and check out, the live videos I did before, an overtired baby fights sleep. I want to tell you that 99.9% of newborn sleep issues is because your baby is overtired, okay? So Kim, if you can keep wake time short, and with your 3-month-old, most 3-month-olds can't stay awake longer than an hour and a half, 2 hours maximum. That's that sweet spot for sleep, that right sleep window I talked about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back a few weeks and watch the nap fighting live Q&A. We talk about overtiredness and how to help them sleep. But your 3-month-old, his sleep window is about the hour and a half to 2 hour mark tops. So that means at daycare, they might not be trying to get him to sleep till after 2 hours of awake time, 2 hours and 10 minutes, 2.5 hours. By that point, he's so overtired, anything you do is not going to work. Whether you rock, bounce, shake, pat, do anything, because he's almost reached that point of no return. And he can't fall back asleep because he's so ridiculously overtired. So what you want to do is make sure that you nail that sweet spot for sleep, that right sleep window, because the more overtired he gets, the more he's going to fight sleep. It could be at home. You're very well aware of his needs. You see his cues. You see him rubbing his eyes or starting to pull his ears. When he's starting to get overtired, you catch him and you use the motion. At daycare, he might be getting ridiculously overtired, missing the window, and they're not going to sit there and bounce him and pat him to get him to sleep. So I would say first thing to do, and I'm a big fan of logging your baby's habits, trying to get a feel for what your baby's daytime routine is, what that sleep window is, log his habits for a few days and see, when does he get overtired? At daycare, they've been putting him down like every 3 hours, but he's already begging for sleep at an hour and 45 minutes of awake time. Try to be in tune with that and give your daycare a routine based on the needs that you see happening with him, so that way he's not going to get overtired, A. And B, tell them to do whatever they can to get him to sleep. If they're just going to stick him down in the crib and you know that that's not what works for him now, tell them that they can do whatever possible to help him fall asleep. But it's coupled with having a method to help him, but also working with his body to make sure you catch him at that optimal time, Kim. Okay? Hope that helps you. Let me know if you have questions. All right, Sarah, I know you got to go soon, so let's do your question next. I'm reposting your question about your 11-week-old. Okay, good, because I told you I wouldn't see it if you didn't post it here. Since birth, she has been consistently fussy during the hours of 5 to 7 a.m., no matter what we try. She goes to sleep between 7 and 8 and wakes for feeds at 1 and 4. She naps 3 times a day, about 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, another hour in the evening. You've tried everything to cure this 5 to 7 situation. You've tried feeding her then, tried shushing her, patting her, bringing her to your bed, the swing. Nothing is working. So, Sarah, it sounds like there's a few different things happening. It's obviously hard to analyze your situation with just a little bit of detail, but most likely this is a lack of consistent daytime sleep. And I know you have it consistent, but it might not be what her body naturally wants to do. If she is taking a 2-hour nap in the morning, a 2-hour nap, sounds like the duration is fine, but the timing might be off. I'm wondering when she wakes up, and you're here now, Sarah, so you can tell me, when does she wake up from that third nap? Because if she's kept awake too long between that third nap and bedtime, ironically enough, that could actually cause her to wake up early in the 5-7s. That's number one. So let me know what time she's taking her naps, okay? And how long she's awake for. Between 5 and 7 a.m., she might be in and out of sleep, sleeping for 5 minutes, waking up crying, sleeping for 10 minutes, waking up crying, and doing different things. And then by the time you've offered her first nap, she might have been awake for way longer than her natural sleep window. She wakes up at 6 a.m., sometimes a little longer. Okay, so you want to start, by when the time she starts her day, Sarah, you want to start gauging that sleep window at 6 a.m. So if she wakes up at 6 a.m., then that means you want her to be absolutely asleep for her first nap by, hour and a half, 2 hours maximum, Sarah. So that means you want her down for that first nap by 7:30 or 8, no questions asked, because the longer you wait, the more overtired she gets. I'm going to get to the evenings in a second, but it all starts in the morning. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So let's say she takes that 2-hour nap in the morning from 7:30 to 9:30, or 8 to 10, and then she takes her another nap. Just keep that window consistent. Oh, she's up at 6 in the morning. Oh, that's what you meant. Okay, fine. She's up at 7 in the morning. So fine. Just gauge her sleep window from the time that she starts her day and make sure that you don't miss it, because the more overtired she gets, the more it's actually going to kind of negatively backtrack and affect that morning sleep. So make sure you're not missing that right sweet spot for sleep, the right sleep window. She'll never awake longer, 11 weeks, never awake longer. Again, hour and a half, 2 hours maximum between naps. Now, once you get to the evenings, I have no problem with her taking a third nap because she needs it. But like I said, between the third nap and bedtime, don't let it exceed that sleep window mark, because if she's overtired, it's just going to foster into those irritability hours in the early morning. Once you get to the evenings, she doesn't know what time it is when she wakes up in the middle of the night, Sarah. She doesn't know if it's 1 or 4 or 5. She just knows sometimes she wakes up and is fed. Sometimes she wakes up and is not fed. So we obviously want to give her a consistent message so she can learn what to do. I would actively try to enlist a different type of method to help her fall asleep. I'm not going to tell you to sleep train an 11-week-old, but try to teach her body to last longer, because when she wakes up between the 5-7 mark, she's all out of whack. It's almost like a sense of jet lag. She's overtired from being awake too long during those sleep windows during the day. She's expecting to be fed because you fed her at 1 and you fed her at 4, and are you going to feed her again at 5? Is she going to go back to sleep? Is she going to start her morning? So start actively trying to space out her night feedings. I would say aim for 2. Go look at the live we did a few weeks ago. I just organized them this morning, so you can check it out on nighttime bottles and nighttime nursings, night feedings. You can look